Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar for today. I'd like to introduce ourselves. My name is Farah Maladegunle, the CEO of Dual Luxury World. And before we start, I would like to talk about Dual Luxury World. So Dual Luxury World is a one-stop consulting firm where we process second citizenship and second passport for our clients. And in Dual Luxury World, we've processed above 400 clients, happy clients who have gotten their passports, who have gotten their second citizenship, and who have also gotten their PR. And we've been doing this for about 5 to 6 years. And from when we started, this has been smooth sailing from there. So we process about 20 countries in general. So we process with the likes of, we process citizenship in our Caribbean countries. That is in St. Kitts and Nevis. We have 5 countries that we process citizenship in the Caribbean are St. Kitts and Nevis, Dominica, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Lucia, Grenada, and St. Lucia. And we also process residency programs in Europe. We process in Spain, we process in Portugal, we also process in Malta, and we also process innovation visa residency program in UK. As for that, and we also in Americas, we process the residency program in America and in Canada. So Canada is the reason why we are all here today to talk about. And just a quick intro about citizenship. Citizenship is just mainly a direct investment in a country. Citizenship by investment is directly investing in the economic growth of a country, whereby granting you a second citizenship and a second passport. And there are 2 options in obtaining a citizenship in a Caribbean country, either through the donation program, we start from about $100,000, or the investing in a government-approved real estate project starting from $200,000. But today's focus is about Canada. So we're talking about Canada Permanent Residency Pathway to Citizenship. And I have with me Chioma Ogamba Ifedita from Canada, who is one of our lead consultants in Canada, who's here to share more light about pathways in obtaining permanent residency in Canada, and also pathway to having the citizenship after your permanent residency. So Chioma, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
How are you doing? You can put your camera now.
Right now, so you can see.
So we're just going to quickly do a quick video about Dual Luxury. We played that earlier on when we started the Zoom webinar. So we're going to do that again as we're sorting out Chioma's camera.
What is freedom? Freedom is success. Freedom is guaranteed security through your investments. Freedom is stability. Freedom is safety. Freedom is mobility that extends beyond borders. Freedom is having access to world-class educational and medical systems in the palm of your hands. Freedom is a lifestyle of luxury and leisure. Freedom is having access to a second citizenship and passport. But it is so much more than having a second nationality. It is becoming a citizen of the world. It's exploring the globe, one country at a time. It's the world at your fingertips.
Experience global freedom today with Dual Luxury World.
Right.
Hello, Chioma. How are you doing?
Hello.
How are you doing? Sorry for waking you up early this morning. I'm guessing, what time is it over there in Canada?
It's actually 9 right now.
9 o'clock. Okay, so that's fine. Work has started already.
Yeah.
So how are you doing, Chioma? So just want to give us a quick introduction about who you are, what you do, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, hello everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Chioma Ogamba Ifedita. I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, licensed to practice Canada immigration and help clients across the world relocate to Canada. So we actually work with Dual Luxury World for kind of clients are interested in, let's say, going through the business immigration route, because that's the closest you have to the citizenship and investment routes in Canada. We do not have the citizenship option yet, but residency option. So it's a pleasure to be here, and we look forward to getting to the conversation and knowing more.
It's a pleasure to have you here too also. So quickly, so what is permanent residency program?
I think I already kind of went in a little bit before you even asked me.
We need to ask again for our viewers who are just
Yeah,
joining, who are in here.
So, permanent residency is, I think I'll start by saying it's the topmost status, immigration status you can get in Canada, without being a citizen from birth. So when you're outside Canada, you can get a permanent residency, you can get a temporary residency, but when you get a permanent residency, when you come into Canada, you have of course, you can stay. It's not really permanent like people think, actually, but it's just that you have you have the right to stay, you have right to benefits, you have almost the same benefits that a citizen has. The free healthcare, free education for your kids, even for you have reduced education from university and above, and the benefits that citizenship enjoy. The difference, I like stating that, is that you cannot vote in certain elections, but every other thing a citizen enjoys, you enjoy that, and that's one of the best status you can come into Canada with.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that clear explanation of what permanent residency means. So what, for our viewers here, what are the available programs for people who are interested in actually gaining permanent residency into Canada and trying to relocate and enhance their future, if I may say?
There are a lot of pathways. We'll focus on those that are not so common, but I'll start with the ones that you might have heard about already. There's express entry. Express entry is a mode of processing permanent residency, and you have the federal skilled worker route, which is for professionals outside Canada. You have the Canada Experience class, which is for experienced professionals that have worked in Canada. And then you have federal skilled trades, which covers people that are in the trade industry, like cooks or plumbers and stuff like that. So that's the one that's really popular. Now, when you now go into the aspect of business immigration, you have the startup visa program, which is for entrepreneurs and highly experienced managerial staff in companies, where you can use opportunities, come here, start a business, and through that get your permanent residency. You have options for creative clients in creative arts, actresses, musicians. It's just that at that point you're talking about significant benefit to the country. You have the option of even buying a business, depending on what the business does, depending on what your profile is. So at the end of the day, when you do come to us, we try to see what your profile is and find the best option. So these are just the ones that are at top. It's not exhaustive. I think the one I should also duly mention is provincial nomination programs. Provincial nomination programs also cover different provinces in Canada, like states back in Nigeria or wherever you are, whatever it is you call it. So provinces have their own specific programs to relocate to Canada, and specifically to their province through their own programs. In general, it's almost the same. But that's just let me just leave it that way, so I don't. Let's leave it at that.
So I think mostly people have their different opportunities in actually accessing the Canadian permanent residency. Yeah. So our main focus today is about the business immigration and the skilled worker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So what is a Canadian startup visa?
Okay, so the Canada startup visa is it started up as a pilot, and the country Canada was trying to see how they could bring in experienced professionals across the world and
Yes.
entrepreneurs, specifically entrepreneurs, that could come in and develop businesses here and contribute to the economy. The truth is, Canada is very strategic in their immigration. They don't do lottery, well, except for parents, and you want to do for parents. But generally, they don't do lottery. They are very intentional about people they bring in. So they're bringing you in. They are already seeing value in what you have to bring, whether you're a worker or whether you're a business person. So when they started the startup program, they were looking at the aspect of bringing in entrepreneurs to start up businesses and pay taxes and hire people and just help the economy boom more. So they put some criteria. Basically, you need to have an innovative idea. You need to be able to set up that business according to what's expected. You need to have the support from a designated organization that has been approved by the government of Canada to, more like guide you through the process of starting up that business here. So there are a few other requirements, but basically these are the main ones that you have to note. So I'm going to just quickly talk about the innovative idea part. It depends on your background. It depends on your profile. And one of the things that Paramola is here to do with his team and ours is to make sure that when you come on board, we can guide you through the process of getting there.
Okay, so quickly, what if I don't have an idea? Can you also help me in creating an idea?
That's actually why I said what I said. So I can guide you in the process of getting an idea that will work best for you.
Okay, so I don't have to bring in
that should not stop you. No, that should not stop you.
Okay, just for viewers to understand.
Yeah. That shouldn't stop you. If you're interested in the program, what matters is you being able to give us your resume, and then we would have conversations from there and figure it out. It's a collaborative process at that point. Yes.
Okay, so just a brief recap. So for me, if I'm interested in a startup visa, and if I have an idea, I can also pitch it to you. And if I don't have an idea, all you need is my resume. You can get a business or create an idea that relates to my CV, right? To my resume.
Yeah, we can work on that.
Thank you. Okay, so what are the types of startup visas that we have that are available?
So the type of startup visas that we have right now, it's just more or less. So there are two pathways that you can have when you want to come to, like when you're using that particular route. You have the work permit route, and you have the PR route. Some people can go ahead and just apply for PR directly, and you have the option of applying for both at the same time. So what the work permit does is that when you have that, you can come in and start working on the business. You would have a closed work permit on the business. Your spouse, if you have a spouse, will have an open work permit to do whatever they want to do. And then your PR is also, both of them are applied as submitted at the same time. Both the work permit and the PR are submitted at the same time. The work permit, based on past experiences, comes out much faster than the PR. And so while they're working on the business, the PR is being worked on. And we also have the option where, go ahead.
So what in terms of the startup, let's go back to the startup so that we don't mix everything up. In terms of the startup, what are the benefits in starting up your own business over there, and what are the other benefits you think our viewers might be interested in knowing?
The benefits. Okay, so first of all, you have a startup in Canada, and when you have that, it increases your chances of like the effort you're putting in, which is what I wanted to expand on that, like while your work permit is going on, or while you, as soon as you submit the application, we assist you with setting up business and running it and all of that in Canada. It doesn't stop you from coming in to also, put in your effort as well. But it's more, like I said, it's a collaborative process from beginning to end. But the benefit there is it's a pathway to getting your PR. Now, it's the only pathway so far, one of the very few pathways so far that leads you to PR directly. You can apply for PR directly, because usually you would have to, most business immigration pathways, you have to apply for your work permit first before, you have to perform very well in the business before you get your PR. But this is one of those programs where if you set up the business and come in here, you have the chance of getting your PR, whether the business succeeds or not. Of course, we'll support you and try to make sure that happens. But if you know anything about entrepreneurship, you can guarantee business success. But you can put your best foot forward to make sure that it works out. So the most important thing is we are here to make sure we get to the point of citizenship. We want to get that Canadian
Yes.
passport. So this is just a pathway to getting there. You get your PR, 3 years down the line, you're talking about your Canadian passport, which is the whole point that we are here, right? Citizenship,
Okay, yes,
second
that's what we hear.
residency or
Yes.
citizenship. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And can you give us like outline requirements involved in obtaining, starting up this program? What are the requirements we need? Like if someone is interested, what requirements do we need?
So if you're interested, the first thing we already talked about it was the resume. If you do not have one, it's not a problem. We can guide you through the process of getting one together. What we just really want to know is your background. Sometimes you have clients that have been entrepreneurs for a long time. They've never gone to look for a job for a very, very long time. So they might not even have a resume, and that's okay. But we'll just have to have a chat with you and come up with something that shows what you've been doing at least for the past 10 years. Another thing that, we like to be upfront about, but we know sometimes clients don't like to hear, is that you have to take the English test. That's just the only thing that might stress you a little bit.
Yes.
But we are here to guide you again through the process. We have tutors and we have online programs depending on what your preference is. So you can even use both to prepare. The cutoff is about 60%, 60 to 60%. And I don't think it's something that's difficult. Nigeria is an English-speaking country. It's not like we speak French or some other language. So it's pretty basic, to be honest. It's pretty basic. And then when we now go into the part of figuring out, okay, this is your background. These are the different ideas. Are they, do you have any ideas? Sometimes clients actually come with ideas, and we're not just trying to discuss, okay, based on our experience, which one will work best and all of that. And when you pass that stage and go into the immigration stage, if you've applied for visa before, it's just like that, but maybe like times 3 or 5. We just want a bit more information. We just want to have to know your background, especially if you haven't applied to Canada before. Even if you have, we still want to get some information on on what it is, which is like maybe your police certificate, medicals, like all those ones are pretty basic, that it's not those difficult. Your net worth or your proof of funds and all of that. The most important thing is in the beginning, making sure that you have the right profile that we can use for the program, making sure that if you have an idea, is it the right one? Can we guide you to something that is much better, and all of that. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. So we have some clients who are very, very impatient and they want to know, how quick can I get this my permanent residency? Or is there before I get my permanent residency, is there another way I can also get into Canada while waiting for my permanent residency? Because they know it's a longer process. So can you just run us by the duration and how quick they can get access to relocate to Canada?
Okay, so will you permit me to be honest?
Yes, please.
So let me set the expectations. We are happy that you're here with us, but I need to say set on the situation. Canada is not one of those countries that can do like this. That's the truth. They take their time to do stuff. They like doing their background check. That's the truth. The Caribbean countries and all these other countries, they might even be much faster, to be honest. So I like to set expectations first so that you wouldn't have the wrong expectation, and I wouldn't want to blow it out of proportion for you. Now, let's now go into the details. I can give you a processing timeline, but I'm not the government. But we can tell you how soon we can process your own application when you come to us. Between 3 to 6 months, we can actually put everything and send it to the government. But when it gets to the government, it's out of our control. No matter what Farambola tries, you cannot wahala him too much. I don't know how else to say it in English, but even me, that's licensed, I can't do so much. The Canadian government has their own way of doing things. The timeline they have usually for work permits is 6 months, and for PR, it can be 18 months and above. It can even come out less time, but we try to say it can take even higher than what we are saying. It can take lower. Some experienced, if you've done it for a very long time, some people might not even answer this question. But I'm going to tell you based on experience how long it usually takes. But some people try to avoid the question because over time, after COVID, the processing times here just collapsed. It became something different, and they're still recovering from that. And in the process of recovering, we now had a government strike. Yes, it happened in Canada. It happened. And things slowed down even further. Now, what can you use while you're waiting for your PR? Remember when I said that you have two different applications that you make at the same time? The PR takes longer, but you don't have to wait for it to come in. The work permit is what you're going to use to come into the country. with your family. Actually, if you have a family or your spouse, you can use it to come in and be working on the business, and your spouse can be working on, getting another job while waiting for the PR. So you can stay here with the work permit for as long as it's given to you for, and you get your PR along the process. So that's not a problem at all.
Okay. And you mentioned families. So what's the dependent's age?
Yes, good question. So we have dependents up to, let's say, less than 22 years old, even if it's 2 or 1 month before they turn 22. As soon as they turn 22, it can't be part of the application anymore.
So it can be if I'm married, my spouse, and my kids under 22.
Yeah, under 22
can be added. Okay,
yeah.
Thank you very much for that clear explanation.
The spouse always comes along. The spouse always comes. But this is not a situation whereby I will say what it is. I'll say what it's not. So you cannot add your siblings. Unfortunately, you can't add your mom or your dad, or your siblings, your spouse's siblings, or anything like that. So you can add your kids if you have a child that you adopted, that you have adoption papers for. That would also work. But it's just like mom, dad, and kids less than 22.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So the next question I'm going to ask the second type of program that access permanent residency is the work experience one. Can you run us by that, please?
Okay, so that one works on, again, remember when I said that Canada likes people that have something to give and what to contribute to? This is another one, just that this case is in the professional side. So in this scenario, they're looking for professionals that have work experience in occupations in high demand in Canada across different provinces. So when we have professionals that are interested in relocating, and let's say you are 35 years and above, or even 40 and above, in that situation you most likely would not qualify easily under the express entry system that is very popular. That's where you're going to need an extra boost, where it comes to like job offer or nomination from a province. And how we come in is that we can connect you to recruiters. We have a recruiting partner that helps. We do not guarantee anything, but before you even come on board and before a dime is collected from you, for any program, like any training program that we have in place to prepare you for that, we try to make sure that you have the right experience. We can actually help you. We go through a screening process. So after that screening process, you discuss with the recruitment partner, and then they decide. They are the ones that would handle that aspect of making sure that they train you. I won't say train you properly because you already have the professional experience, but explain things to you the way things are done in Canada, basically. How because it's a different terrain entirely. So they just close that gap, and it's easier for you to land jobs, and they connect, and they have recruitment fairs that are free, and they connect you to as many employers as possible. I have a high chance of getting a job. In fact, so far we haven't had anyone that hasn't gotten, so I can say it's 100% from their own end and how they deliver. But again, when we screen out, we have a very high chance of success. So that's how it basically works. And then from there, so go ahead, ask me.
So what you're saying is, if I have work experience, how many years work experience do I need?
At least 3 years. If it's
3 years
more,
work experience.
better. Yes, at least 3. So if you have like 7 or 10, better. Yeah.
Okay, so if I have at least minimum of 3 years work experience, and I want to relocate to Canada with my family, I can also get a job in Canada who will endorse my PR, whereby with that I can get a job in Canada and relocate to Canada.
Yes, so that's what I was getting to. I was saying that when you do end up getting that job offer, it can facilitate different pathways to come here through your PR. So that sometimes in some cases you get a work permit, and in most cases you get a PR. So when you get a PR, it's either based on the job offer or based on the fact that you qualify to work in a certain province. So yes, the way you put it, kind of close. Yes. But at the end of the day, we need to know your work experience to know the best option. It's not for everyone. It depends on their list is a long list of occupations in high demand for every province in Canada. So that's what we have to go through and screen out as clients do come in. Yeah.
So what if I get a job and I don't like it? Am I tied to that job in Canada to make my PR valid?
If it's PR, if you came in with a PR, you're not tied to the job. I was going to say yes and no, but if you came in with PR, you're not tied to the job. If you come in with a work permit, it depends on what the work permit is. If the work permit is a closed work permit, you're tied to the company for the duration of that work permit. You can't break it. If it's an open work permit, you can get another job. But if it's PR, for sure, you're a PR, you're close to a citizen, like I said, like you can decide to move to something else. You're not tied to that job.
Thank you very much. So that, just to clarify for our viewers, because some of them may have some experience, workers here, and who might be looking to move to Canada, and yeah. So, are there any form of requirements apart from just work experience that's needed?
So there's work experience. We will definitely need your resume to confirm that, and your resume has to show experience that you can verify when the government wants to verify. Can you get a letter from that organization that says that this is exactly what you did, and it has to tally your resume? That part is very important. And then we need to evaluate your degree. Make sure that it's equivalent to maybe like if you have a bachelor's, it's equivalent to a bachelor's here as well. We call it educational credential assessment, and we also have to be able to write the English exam as well. No one can avoid that as of now.
What's the cutoff for the English exam?
For professionals, it's a bit higher. You're looking at 8 in listening and 7 in the rest. I would personally advise you try to aim for higher. If you can aim for 9 across board and then you fall at 8.5 or 8, that's preferred. Because the more points you have, the better. But like minimum 8 in listening and 7 in writing, reading, and speaking.
Okay, thank you. And also, in terms of dependents, can you also take your spouse and your children too once you get through the work permit, work experience?
Yes, you can. You can.
Still under 22.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So, do you say this is faster compared to startup?
Yes, it is.
So, what's the duration? What timeline can you give us?
For this one, I wouldn't give a timeline because it depends. I probably give a range, but I won't really, put it like it depends. So, the timeline for both is almost the same when you're looking at what the government is saying, but based on experience, it's usually shorter because if you're saying you have a job offer, they're looking at you coming in to start the job as soon as possible. So they tend to prioritize that. That's why I said it is. But another thing you have to look at is the aspect of whether the person already has an English exam in place, whether they've already evaluated their degree. So if they have all that placed, then it's most likely faster. But if they don't have that phase, sometimes you have clients that are ready to do it, but then their school is delaying in transcript or they don't have time to take the exams yet. So all those things make it very uncertain too. But let's use a best case scenario. The person already has their results ready. They have their resume ready. They've evaluated their degree already. From that point, you're looking at 6 to 18 months.
6 to 18 months.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for that clarification. So now let's talk about price. That's what most people are here for. Is it something that they can afford? Is it something that is easy to access in terms of can they afford that program? So in terms of startup, what is the minimum requirement in terms of price to get a startup or run a business in Canada? How much do they need to do you have?
I'll give you that question to answer, Faramola. Answer this one.
So for a startup visa, you need a minimum amount of about $200,000 minimum, and for a work permit, that's a work experience, you need them starting from about $70,000 thereabout. If I'm correct, yes, Chuma. Yeah, I'm correct.
Yeah, it's around that. So but again, like that's the general price. Sometimes when people come in, it depends on how complicated the case is.
Yes.
If I've had people that have had tons of rejections, that's more work, but that's a good start. Yeah.
Okay. So if you're looking to start up a business in Canada and you want to have permanent residency, the minimum amount is about $200,000. And if you already have work experience, minimum of about 3 years work experience, and you want to get a job in Canada, you can start up So the price is starting price is about $70,000 thereabouts, or more, depending on how complicated your file is.
Let me clarify a bit on that. So when it comes to the work option for those that have experience,
Yes.
the aspects where you're looking at, so what we're actually doing is connecting them to a program. It's an educational program that they go through for a few months. And then like the recruitment part and connecting to recruiters is just a bonus that comes with it. It's free. It's not something that's charged. So that program that they go through with the organization here in Canada is actually what they're paying for.
Okay.
As well as
Thank you
their
very much.
immigration application, submission and processing and all of that. Yeah.
No problem. Thank you very much. So if you have any questions and answers, please. Okay, I think we have a question here. I think we'll go into question and answers. Once I'm granted the PR in Canada, must I move immediately? Is there a time restriction? And can I lose my PR in the long run?
Okay, that's a very good question. So when you get your PR, there's usually a date that they give you on your passport. So they'll stamp the visa for you. It's actually a visa at that point until you land, and then it turns to a PR. But they stamp that visa for you, and they'll give you the deadline on when you have to come in. The deadline is usually influenced by two things. So let me just talk about the one that is really popular. Whenever you did your medical report, if you did it, so this is May. Let's say you did your medical report in November, and that's you submitted around November, December, and they give it to you this May. You have till November, December to land in Canada. So your medical cannot expire on you. But of course, with the processing times, they've even held applications beyond that 1 year sometimes. And they'll even tell you to renew your medicals. But that's usually one indicator. A second indicator is if your passport is expiring before November. If your passport is expiring in September, you have to be there before September. So whichever that is earlier. So that's that. Now, when you do come in, I usually advise to come in. When you have that, just make out time to land. It's called, so there's soft landing, and then there's the one where you're landing for sure and you're not, going back and you want to just come here and start your life. But the soft landing is for those that they come in, they know they want to go back and still tidy up some things and not ready to fully relocate. You can do that. But to ignore it completely, you might end up losing it if you don't keep track of when it actually expires. So when you come in, you can land, you can start processing your PR card. Sometimes some people are patient enough to wait for it, and then you can use a PR card to go back to your country. Or sometimes you can go back and a family member or friend can pick it up. That means you're going to have to give them their own address and all of that. Now, when you do get your PR, yes, you can lose it. And that's why I said in the beginning that it's not really permanent. There are obligations that you have to follow to maintain it. Residency obligations in general in Canada is that when you have your PR, you need to maintain it for at least 2 years to renew. Okay, so if you get there January 2024, even in a 5-year period, if you go in and come out, travel in and out, whatever amount of time you spend in Canada, 2 years, 2 months here, 6 months here, 1 year here, you add everything together, it has to be up to 2 years for you to renew after the first 5 years. The best option I like, if you can do that, is 3 years. Add an extra year within that 5 years. Make sure you track it properly and just get your passport and get your freedom. So that once you have a passport, no one is following you or asking you, so that's the goal. 3 years, and then you don't have to think about renewing or meeting any obligations. At that point, you can live anywhere and you don't have to stay in Canada if you don't want to.
Please, if anyone has any questions, just type your question in the Q&A section in the chat below, and we'll try and answer them as soon as possible. So just to recap of what you said, so to get permanent residence, once you get a permanent residency, and for you to renew your permanent residency, you need to have at least 2 years stayed in Canada, at least 2 years in 5 years long period of time. And for you to get fast citizenship, you should have a period of 3 years straight. Then you get your citizenship.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's 3 years cumulative. It's not straight. You don't have to stay here 3 years straight. But in that 5 year period, when you calculate the number of months you've stayed here, after within the first 5 years, you have to be able to, calculate it up to 3 years. So you don't have to come and stay from like 2024 to 2027 straight and not ever go back to Nigeria. No, but within 2024 and 2029, whatever you're going in and coming out should be up to 3 years. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Another question, there's someone who was talking about and asking how they can partner with people for the startup business. How does that work?
Okay, so yeah, another good question. So the government requirement is that you can be up to 5 people in a group to run a new startup in Canada, and through that pathway, relocate to Canada. Now, there's an option to do it yourself. There's an option to do one more person, up to 5 people. And the difference is just that your applications are tied to each other. It just I will usually advise that, if you're friends or your family members, that's a good option. Sometimes strangers actually together if they have common goal and they have common interest to actually run a startup. But there's not much difference. The only difference is just that everyone has to get any documentation at the time. If one person is delaying, it's going to affect the others. But at the same time, if you have someone that is open to coming to Canada and staying to help start a business, and you have another person that's not, that's where group actually helps. So it has pros and cons for either. It just depends on what's the best fit for each person. But yeah.
So it can either be one person can set up a business, or a group of 1, 2, 3 can come together and set up a business, and
absolutely.
all the same family can have the same.
All of them can come with their families, yeah. So if you have men come together, or 5 women come together, and you're coming with your spouses, it doesn't have to be men or women, it can be a combination, guys. But if you're coming with your spouses, you can also come with your children. So whatever it is you're doing is covering the families of each of the applicants, their spouses and their children.
Okay, thank you. So another question is, how am I sure that if I start the program, I'm actually going to get the PR?
Honestly, no one can guarantee that you're going to get the PR, but we haven't had any rejections so far. That's the best we can say. We have 100% success rates, but no one can guarantee you. The government is the only one that can guarantee, but we can only say that we have never had a rejection. And another thing that's important is that you have to be honest with us. So sometimes we have the only cases where I've heard from colleagues that they've had rejections where maybe the client has had some kind of case in a different country, or they've been rejected before and they didn't say it. If it's something that we are not aware of and they find it out on their own, which is why they take their time to process it, then yeah, that could happen. But if you're completely transparent with us, honest with us about your entire file, whatever you're asking you tell us what it says. Even if it's something you think you're worried about, let us know. We might actually have a solution for that. Then we are not having any surprises. And then it's just going to go the way the rest, went. You wouldn't be you wouldn't be the one that will be the first person to have a rejection, hopefully. So, but even if anything does happen, what we do tell our clients and what we have in the agreement as well is that whatever does happen, we will help you reapply, because sometimes the visa officer can be wrong. We've had cases where they are really wrong, because they're human beings, they can make mistakes too. There's technology being infused that makes decisions here and there, but generally speaking, it's the visa officers that make decisions are human beings. So in a case where they do make a mistake or something does go wrong, we are not leaving you halfway. We are going to help you down the road to make sure that we turn it around as much as we can. So
thank you.
I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. So another question. So do you help new clients or new family settle in Canada once they get into Canada?
Yes, it's one of the bonus services that we offer, settlement services. We cover most provinces, I think about 9 out of 11. The popular provinces that people go to are very well covered: Ontario, Alberta, British Columbia, and all of that. So when you do come here, we can guide you through, if you want us to pick you up from the airport, you want us to help you rent a place, help you find daycare. So we have settlement partners across different provinces that can help you settle in when you get here.
Okay, so help them get in school,
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much.
Register for your driver's license and all of that, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So just to clarify, that we have two options in getting PR into Canada. That is what we're focusing on today, is the startup and the work experience visa program, permanent residency program. And for the startup visa, we need a minimum of about $200,000 if it's a single family. And for the work experience, is about minimum of about $70,000, right? And we help in processing their permanent residency and getting them access to Canada. And it takes about 12 to 18 months or 12 to 24 months, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I've seen it go lower or even higher, but yeah, that's usually the general range that we use for the processing time. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. So Chama, we want to thank you very much for your time explanation about obtaining a permanent residency and the options people have. And so viewers, I want to thank you a lot for coming. And if anyone has any question, feel free to contact us on our website, or you can feel free to contact us call us or send us an email. So you can call us on 0802 647 7875. I'll say that number again, 0802 647 7875. Or you can go on our website, it's www.dualluxuryworld.com. And you can also email us on info@dualluxuryworld.com. So I would like to also recap on what Dual Luxury is about. So Dual Luxury is the citizenship by
sorry for cutting you short, but just a quick one. We didn't talk about a little bit about the business consulting side of it. So we have a dedicated team that focuses on helping you with the setup of the business and the support that you need throughout while waiting for your PR, because all those things that they do with the marketing and everything they do, registering the business in Canada, are things that will have to report to the government on your progress of. So I just felt to just quickly put that in there. So that's why you have the prices in there. We have partners that work with us that specialize in every other thing apart from the immigration aspect that Faramola and I have built on today.
Okay, thank you.
Now you can carry on. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So someone just quickly put a question there. So can your residency visa allow you to go to you still have to apply for a visa? Is when you've gotten your citizenship, you get your passport, and with that passport you can now travel.
In some cases, you can actually. There's some countries.
There's some few countries that would
But generally, few countries your passports. Yeah.
So there's some few countries that allows you to get into their country visa free, but in terms of mobility and wanting to travel around the world, you need to wait to get your citizenship. Then you get your passport, and with that passport, you can travel to over 184 countries, if I'm correct.
Yeah, about 186.
Worldwide.
Yes, worldwide.
184 countries. You can travel to UK, you can travel to America visa free, all European countries, Singapore, and many more, and most of the South American countries. And with that, we're going to come to an end of the webinar. But before we come to an end, we also would like to introduce our company to you again. We are Dual Luxury World. We're a citizenship by investment company where we process second citizenship and second passport for our clients. And we process about 20 countries worldwide. And we major in citizenship in Caribbean. We may also have residency program in Europe, and we also have residency program in America and Canada that we just discussed about. So if you're looking for a second passport that gives you visa-free access to over 140 countries, feel free to contact us, and you can get a citizenship straight out of the Caribbean that gives you access to, like I said again, travel to over 140 countries visa-free. And if you're looking to relocate to Canada and you want to enhance your future, you can also come to us, whereby you get a permanent residency and also a pathway to citizenship after 3 years or within five years or so. That's if you and you're not restricted to staying in Canada for the whole 5 years. So you can come in and out within those years. And if anyone has any questions after this webinar, feel free to contact us at our phone number is 0802 647-7875. And our website also is www.dualluxuryworld.com. And email is info@dualluxuryworld.com. And if you have any further question about Canada, you can just book a consultation with us, and Choma will be available to also answer any question that anyone wants, and to anyone needs any clarification on. So I want to say a big thank you for everyone that's attended this webinar. And Choma, thank you again very much for spending and giving us your time. And we just want to, we'll be seeing more of you in the near future, Choma.
Yes,
so,
yes, absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much. So thank you everyone for coming by. And I always want to say one thing before I close. The citizenship by investment is not just getting a travel passport, is access. So it gives you access for mobility, it gives you access to be able to have good lifestyle, it gives you access to security, whereby you need to be able to move freely. It also gives you access to lifestyle, and also gives you a new identity. Unfortunately, because of our some passports that don't have those access, that's why we're here to offer those services for people. And thank you for coming on this webinar. And we are Dual Luxury World, and we're here to serve you. And our main motto here is global freedom. Everyone needs to have that global freedom, and we're here to help you with that. So thank you everyone for coming on the webinar today, and we would love to hear from you in the nearest future. So my name is Faramola Adegunle, the CEO of Dual Luxury World, and I bid you good day and have a great weekend ahead. Thank you very much.